Welcome to the Flower Lounge, a place for conversations with wildly creative people and a little plant-loving wisdom to help you experience life in full bloom. I'm Katie Hess, flower alchemist and founder of LOTUSWEI, and I believe in a world where we're all living at our personal edge. Welcome to the Moonshine episode of the Flower Lounge. I am sitting here with Kristina Wingeier. Thanks for being with us, Kristina.
My pleasure. How are you, Katie?
I am looking forward to talking about my favorite month of the year.
March? What makes March your favorite month?
It's my birthday month.
Celebrate! Yay! I like March too. March has the equinox. And I love the equinoxes and the solstices as that, like, those points to kind of mark the change of time from the solar earth-based perspective. I think those are really wonderful moments in time. So I love the equinox. And it's just everything's kind of coming to life where we live, right? In the Northern Hemisphere. It really does feel
Spring.
Spring is springing. Well, March is a pretty exciting month, really. We have some shifts happening this month and some experiments. So that'll be fun. Should we just start at the beginning? Should I just start?
Sounds like perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So basically March begins on March 1st, which is a Sunday. And, you know, the first major aspect that we're going to see with the planets in March, not considering the moon's always doing lots of stuff and we don't have time to get into all that, but is on Tuesday, March 3rd. And that's when Venus is traveling in Aries at this time, makes a square to Saturn in Capricorn. And so this may just feel a little stressful. And whenever we get these squares, we get a little bit of tension and a little bit of invitation to make a change. Venus, of course, is love and money and relationships. And Saturn is a lot about rules and agreements and boundaries and things like that. So I think it is a moment to let this stress that you might be feeling help you redefine your values and your boundaries around your relationship, around your spending, around your self-worth, love, like whatever. But squares are great, I promise, because the friction really does invite you to make a change because it's uncomfortable. And you know that if you just keep doing things the same way, you're going to run into that again later down the road. So it's a real invitation to shift something.
I missed it. You said that Saturn's in Capricorn and Venus is in Aries?
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's at the end of both these signs, because both these planets are getting ready to change signs, actually. So it's also there at the end of things, which I won't get into all the technical details, but...
Like giving you a kick in the butt as you're walking out the door?
Sure. Yeah, kicking in the butt. But I mean, it's just like, astrologically, the final degrees of signs tend to be a little stickier. And there's reasons for that I won't really get into because I'd probably bore half your listeners and half of them would be like, yeah, but, you know. We're looking for equal opportunity. Everyone, we want to make everyone happy. So, which is impossible. So hence we move on. So that's Tuesday. That's the 3rd. And then Wednesday is a pretty busy day astrologically because Mercury is still retrograde, but moves into Aquarius for a few days. And Mercury is going to be in Aquarius for a minute. And this is, you know, Mercury often stays in one sign during a retrograde, but sometimes there will be this overlap, and that's happening 2 out of 3 times this year. So Mercury has been in Pisces. Well, we've all been feeling that for a long time, and the retrograde in Pisces has been a lot of things. But the shift into Aquarius really brings a new perspective and a new element. So instead of being in water where we're just maybe an emo flood of everything, we get a little bit of clarity, a little bit of perspective, a little bit of distance, right? And able to see something new or to maybe see a new solution to whatever it is that you're retrograding in your life, right? It's like a house term. Like if you retrofit, you retrograde. I don't know. It's not really a house term, but in that moment, I felt like it was some kind of construction term to retrograde something. Maybe it is. So that is Mercury will be in Aquarius for a little while, still retrograde. And that's a shift. And you might feel that. Venus also changes signs that day. So Venus has been in Aries for a little minute. And now Venus moves into Taurus, which is a sign of her rulership.
Oh, how lovely.
Venus in Taurus is super lovely. It's lovely. It's delightful. So this is her home turf. This is her earth sign. Beauty, pleasure, life's little luxuries. With Taurus, keep it simple, sweetheart. No need to make things overcomplicated. Patience, just like slowing down, embodying, feeling into, and enjoying, right? All the Venus realms. Taurus, it's an earth sign. Venus is about money. You may feel like you want to buy something nice for yourself. Check your budget. And, you can also treat yourself to sweet little things along the way. If you don't have the budget for something really big, it's really easy to bring a little bit of luxury into your life. It's simpler than you think. And I think that's something that is part of this Venus transit through Taurus. So that's delicious. And that's on Wednesday. So both those planets shift energy on Wednesday. And in fact, once Mercury moves into Aquarius, we're just really starting to, I think, kind of see the light in the tunnel and kind of the end of the retrograde. And Venus is having us feel good in our bodies, maybe, or maybe not, but doing more choosing more things that bring you pleasure and joy is definitely a prescription for Venus and Taurus.
We'll take it. Pleasure and joy.
Pleasure and joy, right? And then, we have the moon this week is building towards the full moon. And so we start to get into that at the end of the week, we start to get into that pressure of the full moon building, a lot of energy with the sun and the moon. And there's a few kind of a sequence of aspects that's happening before and after the full moon. And on Sunday is when it really they start perfecting, right? So Sunday is when daylight savings time begins where I live. I know you're in Arizona, but a lot of us in the States, and I think even around the world, different places, they change the clocks. So we're starting to shift our relationship to time. But on Sunday, the sun makes an annual conjunction to Neptune. And this is in the sign of Pisces, because that's where Neptune's been for a minute and will be for many minutes more. And so the sun conjunct Neptune is very visionary and dreamy and kind of inspirational. It can be, but it can also mean that you just feel really tired or just like kind of spacey or, low vitality. The full moon can amplify a lot of people, but can also overstimulate you, right? So just really checking in with how you're feeling and supporting yourself if you're not feeling super energized, to rest and allow yourself to kind of dream and vision from a horizontal position or, outside or something like that. But that is an annual aspect between these two. So we've done it before. We'll do it again. This is how it's happening in 2020. It's happening right before the full moon. The same day, on Sunday, we have Venus, who has just moved into Taurus, as I mentioned, conjunct Uranus in Taurus. And so this is also something that will happen once a year. Venus will move into Taurus. Venus and Uranus will make their conjunction. And this year it's happening in Taurus. And this is going to be like...
Whoa, there's a conjunction and they're both in Taurus?
Definitely. Conjunctions, the planets have to be in the same signs. In general. Sorry for all the dinging.
But wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Wait a minute here. Okay. So, I see. Never mind. I'm thinking about squares. So there's a square. Venus and Aries and Saturn, Capricorn. Okay. Square. But conjunction, it will always be in the same sign.
99.9% of the time. Some people will say a conjunction is a planet at 1 degree and another planet at 29 degrees in two different signs. And certainly I could see that, but let's just keep it simple, sweetheart. Yes.
Okay.
Conjunctions, they're at the same degree. An exact conjunction means they're exactly in the same place for a moment, right? On the zodiac. So Venus is on her home turf in Taurus. Okay. So she's got the upper hand. Let's know this. And Uranus is in Taurus for a long time. It's a 7-year transit. We're just moving into it, right? We're getting more and more comfortable. So, but what happens with
more and more comfortable with electric, unexpected surprises.
There you go. That's the aspect. Katie's the astrologer. Yay.
I just think it's funny that you say more comfortable.
Well, that's like, I'm personally learning to be more comfort with being uncomfortable. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like that's a big learning for me right now. And with really not having any idea and being open to something unexpected. That's what this
exciting.
Is. Right. Be open to something unexpected. And of course, we're working toward the full moon, so it might be something not wanted, but maybe.
Okay. Tell us more. Tell us more. What are the details here?
That's it. Venus and Uranus making their conjunction. Keep your options open. You might change your mind. You might want to do something different, right? You might have had a plan with someone and we got to do this instead. Like there might be some strange kind of like, we got to try this coming out of left field. It also might feel a little itchy because it's Uranus and you might feel like, oh, I got to do something, but I'm so tired because the sun is conjunct Neptune and so you might feel overtired. I think like I can think of kids who like stay up past their bedtime or whatever, and they keep wanting to stay up because they know there's a party, but they're so tired, but they just want to have something fun. So it's that could be something like that happening depending on how you run your energy, right? So, and these are on Sunday, and then Monday morning's the full moon. So you see, we have a lot of energy around this time building. And so the full moon is on Monday, the 9th. It's in the sign of Virgo. We have the Pisces sun and the Virgo moon at the full moon. And right there, we have Pisces conjunct Neptune, which is all the things I talked about, like that visionary, but kind of maybe dreamy and maybe spacey and kind of maybe low energy. And then the moon is in Virgo being like, let's get things in order. Let's have a plan. Like we need a system, right? So there's this kind of push-pull between fluid, flow, dream, and organization and systems and kind of like knowing where we're going, right? So this is really a big opportunity to let go of any expectations around getting it right, being perfect, which can be this kind of shadow Virgo energy that happens, right? Where we're just holding so tight to keep things so perfect. That's just, the more you can just kind of let go and let things be what they are could be very useful at this lunation. The moon there's definitely some energy happening between the moon and Mars, and Jupiter, and Pluto and Capricorn. So it's a lot of what you've been kind of reconstructing in your life around in that Capricorn part of your chart, because you've been talking about that forever now, right? You might really feel like, I got to figure it out. I got to get it organized. I got to do it just right. So systems are beautiful. Virgo is an excellent sign. I love all my Virgos. Just don't be obsessed with being perfect and see, what do you need? Do you need more organization, or do you need more like to let go and let it flow? You probably need one or the other. That's the thing about the signs. Like there's 12 signs, but there's really 6 pairs of signs. And the pairs of signs, those ones being Virgo and Pisces, they each have medicine for each other. Too much Virgo, try a little Pisces. Too much Pisces, try a little Virgo, right? And that's what's really up in this full moon in Virgo with that opposition. Any thoughts on that? Or?
Oh, yes.
Yay.
Yeah, I thought it would be a great opportunity. Just one of the words popped out to me about the flowers. So some flowers. I'll talk about a blend that everyone has access to, and that would be the infinite love. So that would be just to soften things. It's like to take the beauty of the Pisces and the Virgo and blend them together so that you aren't too hard on yourself and you don't feel like you need to be perfect. And then if you're in the flower evolution, this month we're working with bonsai plum, which is perfect for dissolving perfectionism and fear of judgment and criticism and trolls. It helps us take risks. Now I think of this.
Did you just say trolls?
Yeah, totally.
Are people trolling you?
Oh, we have gotten, but we love them, and then they, just kind of
dissolve a troll.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like there's like a Dissolvitrol, something. I don't know.
That sounds like a product. Dissolvitrol.
Exactly. Dissolvitrol. Okay. Keep yourself.
Yeah. So I don't know why the troll thing. I mean, it could be an inner troll, right? It's like not just an outer troll. It's could be something inside of you that's being self-critical. And so Plum Blossom is like that gentle love that allows us to make mistakes, to fail, to be imperfect, to try new things, to take risks, rather than just being like in a safe bubble. So it helps us be more free to explore and be curious and try things, and also have this sort of foundational level of like, it's okay, I'm okay.
That's nice. Perfect. And it's a potent combination. I've been trying the plum, and I love Infinite Love. And I think I've told you that's my dog's favorite. And I spray her little bed every night with Infinite Love. And then she like crawls into it and like digs in her blanket and
oh my goodness,
hunkers down. She loves it so much.
That's so cute.
Yeah, she's so into it. I go get the blanket and she looks at me, and then I put the blanket down, and then she looks at me, and I get the spray and I spray it, and then she gets in there. So yeah.
That is so cute.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Full moon. There's one more thing happening that day. Exactly. Mercury stations direct. And what happens when Mercury is stationing direct or retrograde?
Everything is motionless.
Everything is motionless. Exactly. Mercury is just like standing there saying, I think I got enough this way. I'm going to go this way now, but let me just assess. Just look for a while. So yeah.
Like the jam break.
Exactly. And Mercury is the ruler of Virgo, right? Virgo's where the moon is. Virgo's where this like, I got to get the order, I won't feel good until everything's clean, and that's fine. But like Mercury's really not moving. And so you really may not find you're getting the satisfaction that you might want by staying busy, or, you know what I mean? So just take that into consideration. Yeah, just even for a moment, just kind of, can you let go of trying? Go with the flow. And that's Mercury. But hey, Mercury is stationed direct, which means things are going to start to come back to, quote, normal, whatever that means. Mercury will be a little pick up speed and kind of recover all that territory it already went through during the retrograde. And that phase of the Mercury cycle is a lot of insight and putting things into place that you've been ruminating or considering. So it's exciting that Mercury is stationing direct. We'll take it, even if it is slow. And then let's see, moving on through the week, Wednesday the 11th, the Sun and Jupiter are making a sweet little sextile. That's Sun in Pisces, Jupiter in Capricorn. And with that kind of waning moon energy and that Mercury has stationed direct, I feel like there just may be some feelings of like you're making meaning with the projects that you're working on, and you can kind of see the benefit of them, and it's just feeling like, oh yeah, this is what's happening. This is making sense. This is becoming clearer to me, the hard work I've been doing and how it's coming into form. And that's important to really feel that energy, because on Friday, the 13th, which is a very special day because 13 is a magic number, there is a Chiron square the nodes, and that's the North Node and the South Node. And so what that just might do is bring up some insecurities, right? Because the nodes are a lot about where I've been and where I'm going. And this can be you individually. This can be the bigger picture of your organization, or just like whatever. And so there's this little bit of Chiron being that wounded healer of like, oh, am I doing the right things? Did I make a mistake? Like, just that kind of inner doubt, inner troll. That's what Katie calls them, inner troll. So really keeping the faith, right, from that Sun Jupiter sextile will be useful if you're feeling any kind of insecurity happening or bubbling up. And the weekend has a couple of, it continues. There's a lot of activity. Mars on Saturday, the 14th, Mars makes a connection to Neptune. Mars is in Capricorn, Neptune is in Pisces, and there's that sextile energy again. And so that's, again, like practical steps towards more creative acts of kindness, right? Jupiter in Capricorn, this isn't even Jupiter, it's Mars. Sorry, people. Mercury's messing with my mouth. In any event, Mars, you want to take action, you want to do things. Neptune is one of the dreamy, one of the visionary kind of planets. Pisces is a very compassionate place. Just soften. What can you do very practically, very simply to bring more compassion to yourself, more creative acts of kindness, finding meaning in what you're doing. And the sun makes a sextile to Pluto on the same day, which kind of brings some stamina and power. So it kind of feels like maybe you had a little like crunchy moment on Friday, and then you just kind of pick yourself back up. You're like, I'm on path, gosh darn it, warts and all. And that's okay. So that's the end of that. Week 2. Any thoughts or questions or comments about any of that before I jam on?
Warts and all. I like that.
Warts and all. All right. Week 3 is very active. Even though the moon is waning, we have some sign changes this week that are pretty big. First things first, on Monday, Mercury, recently direct, returns to Pisces for another little pass through those first 12 degrees of Pisces where it had been retrograde oh so recently. So hopefully Mercury's time in Aquarius and that station direct help you clarify your feelings. So maybe now is a time to have some of those conversations you were waiting to have, or maybe you're clearer about what you need to say or how you feel about things. And you can kind of work through some of that stuff now that Mercury's direct and back into Pisces. It won't be as confusing as it was during the retrograde, hopefully. Hopefully that Aquarius helped you dry out a little bit. And then Thursday is the equinox, right? So we have, what does that mean? It means the sun moves into Aries. That's what happens on the equinox. Whenever the sun moves into a cardinal sign, Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn, we're at either an equinox or a solstice. So cardinal signs take action, and Aries is very action-oriented. And in general, the seasonal shift is a time to, usher yourself between the seasons. It's the equinox is the equal light, equal day, equal night. So we're kind of tuning into equanimity within ourselves, checking in with that and supporting ourselves in whatever season we're shifting into. And that's going to depend on your hemisphere, right? So I like to work a lot with different dietary shifts and herbal support. So it's a great time for a spring or fall cleanse if that's your cuppa. It can be simple. It's my new favorite thing today. And then, of course, Aries season is the beginning of the astrological year because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So with Aries season, new beginnings and adventure and like leadership and taking action around the Aries part of your chart. That's going to be different for each of you, but that's 30 days of the sun moving through that part of your chart, initiating some change, initiating something new, right? We're at this new season, this new solar season, and it's very activating, I think. You like Aries season? I think you do.
Oh, yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Turn up the fire. Let's go.
There we go. Let's go. So that's cool. And then on Friday, the 20th, we have a Mars-Jupiter conjunction in Capricorn. So this could be a lot of things, people. I'll just say that. But the one word I wrote down was triumph for whatever reason. And I mean, that can be a lot of things, but Mars is a power player. Jupiter is very generous, right? Capricorn, a part of your chart, a part of the zodiac, has been very active for some time. And it may just feel as though, okay, yeah, triumph. I did it. I'm doing it. It's happening. You might, depending if you're a glass half full, glass half empty kind of person, it might be like, oh my God, I have so much to go. You know what I'm saying? I'm so much hard work, but let yourself kind of look at your accomplishments. Look at what you've gotten done. Look at the change you've made and celebrate that, just feel into what that feels like for you. It's very powerful conjunction and an interesting way to end the week. And then on Saturday, we have a really big shift. We talked about this on the year-long episode. It's this Saturn moving into Aquarius for a few months. So Saturn has in general a 3-year cycle where it spends 3 years in a sign. Okay. And Saturn, as we spoke about earlier, is a lot about responsibilities and the rules and the discipline and the boundaries, right? And Saturn will often show us where we need to make new rules, right? Where we need new agreements when it changes signs. It's bringing this Saturnian perspective to a new sign for us all and a new part of your chart. And so what we're going to get when Saturn moves into Aquarius is a few months until July, beginning of July, or end of June, rather, where Saturn is giving us a preview of the next Saturn cycle, kind of a future vision of what is going to be on the agenda, perhaps for you, for the next Saturn cycle, and Saturn will be at Aquarius. And Saturn moves in for real at the end of the year. But we're getting a little preview, and that's a big shift. It's a big collective shift. You know, if you take the kind of like responsibility of Saturn and the humanitarianism of Aquarius and the kind of higher mind, right? This is about the discipline to do the work of change that we need to do in each of us in our own lives and even as a collective, and making new rules. It's not necessarily blowing everything up and starting fresh. It's like, what have we learned, right? Saturn is about time. What have we learned? What are we keeping? What are we remodeling? What are we getting rid of? In traditional astrology, Saturn is the ruler of Aquarius. So it's home turf for Saturn, but it's a completely different vibe than Saturn in Capricorn. So it's a big shift that we'll be experiencing right there after the equinox and the new, the sun in Aries. So it just feels like a lot of fresh energy coming in right there around the seasonal shift. Anything jump out at you around that?
So just to clarify for myself, this time period from March 23rd, is that right?
March 21st.
Oh, March 21st to the end of June will be like...
Yeah, so July 1st, yeah.
2021 to 2024, wherever the Saturn hits you.
Yeah, it's previewing Saturn's next big move. Because of the way planets retrograde and because, Saturn moves a little slower than some other planets. Doesn't get too far into Aquarius before the retrograde cycle begins. And so it gets pulled back in to finish up some business in Capricorn. So it's preview of, what will be a 3-year, a longer cycle once Saturn moves into Aquarius for good. And that's happening at the end of the year it's pretty exciting. And there's stuff going on with Jupiter and Saturn and Aquarius, but we're not going to get too far ahead of ourselves. But we are getting a preview, and that was good clarification. So thank you for that. So that's Saturday, the 21st. And then Sunday, there's a lot of little things, a lot of little like sextiles, and a conjunction. So we have Mercury and Uranus making a connection. And this is going to bring some new insights and maybe some kind of new thinking, and maybe even a really fun conversation, something stimulating. Then we have Venus making a connection with Neptune, and that we have a lot of like softening and dissolving. I wrote down love puddle. Just like, right? And then later in the day, Mars conjuncts Pluto, and that's pretty passionate. So it is an interesting day. Saturn enters Aquarius, and the next day we have like the mind and body are making new connections. We're softening, and there's a empowerment and something very passionate that's happening. So it's a lot of stimulus for us as we shift gears with this new Saturn. And it also is like ending of the lunar cycle. So there's also that ebbing with the lunar cycle. At the same time that we have all this freshness and all this newness, we also have the energy of endings happening. And that's always happening in astrology and in life, right? Some cycles are beginning, some are ending. So these aspects have the potential to have you feel a lot of different ways, depending on how you're doing that day, energy-wise, and how your life's going, right? But it's a lot. This is a very busy week with a lot of changes and a big change and the equinox. So, and then of course, just slowing down in the lunar cycle. It's very interesting paradox, really. And I've been thinking a lot about paradox lately and holding opposites and how that's really a very big teaching to be able to do that, holding the opposites or being in paradox and not letting it, shut you down. So there's that. And then we're rounding out the end of the month. We'll have our Aries new moon on Tuesday, the 24th of March. And what I've written, this is a fresh start for sure. What I've written down when I was looking at the chart, I'm going to just confess, I love the sound of music, and I have since I was young. We even had a Sound of Music sing-along party when my daughter was little, where we dressed up and sang at the house. In any event, the song that came to mind was I Have Confidence, right? The new moon in Aries. I have confidence in sunshine. I have confidence in rain. I have confidence that spring will come again. And you need that confidence because this new moon is at 4 degrees Aries and it's conjunct Chiron. So you may not, you might be feeling a little insecure, but you have to kind of again, warts and all, right? You just take that in stride. And this is a beautiful, fresh start, right? It's Aries season. It's the new moon in Aries. And sure, Chiron's there and Black Moon Lilith's there and things are kind of square the nodes a little bit and Mercury may not be moving as fast as we want it to and still in Pisces, but... Hold on,
what does the Black Moon Lilith mean?
Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Black Moon Lilith is a very interesting... I'm not going to explain what it is because it's kind of confusing, but basically this is a place where there's a lot of power, a lot of passion, and a lot of shadow. And that's because Lilith as an archetype is very complex. So that's right there with Chiron and the new moon. And so we may be feeling a lot of our own shadow material. We might be feeling a lot of passion, but we might be feeling conflicted about it. We might have shame stories going on with that Chiron and Aries around our own passion. Lilith has a lot to do with libido and sexuality as well, feminine sexuality in particular. So it's a very powerful little pile up that there just maybe if it's some mixed feelings, and that's why it's like warts and all. You find the strength to start again and carry on and don't believe your shame stories, right? Just don't. Chiron squaring the nodes. We've probably talked on this podcast about the North Node in Capricorn. The North Node in Cancer and the South Node in Capricorn as being this kind of parental dynamic of mother and father. And then we have the child. And then we have a lot of, wounded children in us kind of running things. We don't want the wounded children to run the show. We want to integrate them and heal them and reparent ourselves. And so I feel like that's kind of woven into this new moon for sure. But in general, pick yourself up. Let's begin again, right? Aries has a lot of verve, a lot of stamina and a lot of courage. There's a lot of courage here to keep going, right? Does that make sense? And is that helpful?
Very. I'm thinking about bonsai again, the bonsai plum, that it's like that motherly love. So if we want to reparent ourselves, it would help us remotherize.
Let's remotherize.
Mother it up.
Mother it up. Love yourself like a mother, like the mother, maybe not like your mother. Got to connect with a different energy, right? A lot of us have mother wounds. I think we're all going through a collective mother wound, but that's a whole nother story. And we only have a couple more months of these nodes in these signs. They are shifting in May. So we are kind of finishing up. This is a great opportunity to, if you do have some kind of wounded child or shame, or, it's a really good opportunity to seek support, take action to get the support you need to help yourself heal, right? Take Aries energy, it takes charge and it's off for a new adventure. So that's our new moon on the 24th. On the 25th, the next day, the sun is exactly conjunct Chiron, right? It becomes exact. So really just, again, overcoming personal limitations and try not to overreact. The thing about Aries, it can get a little hot-headed, as all fire signs can. And, really try not to take things too personally. We do that pretty easily. We're sensitive creatures. And that's just something to consider. Friday is an excellent day, not only because it's Friday and it's Venus Day, but because Venus in pleasure-driven Taurus is making a delicious trine to Jupiter in Capricorn. So these are the two benefics. These are the planets that love you. I mean, all the planets love you, but these are the most helpful, most generous planets in a trine aspect, which is a lot of maybe happiness. God forbid we're happy, joy, just feeling pleasure, maybe something lucky break or something. Like, look for where things are working and amplify that and, pray it forward. It's a beautiful aspect, and it's connecting in your chart, Taurus and Capricorn, and those, that hard work that you've been doing and the change that you're making is really coming together in a beautiful way with this trine. So that's lovely. And then on Saturday, Venus makes a trine to Pluto in Capricorn, because these planets are just near each other. So she just keeps making these aspects, and that's very passionate, right? Pluto is a very passionate, powerful energy. So it can feel pretty nice for some of us. And I think it's a nice weekend. The moon is crescent mooning and growing, and we've got Venus making some nice aspects. I don't know. Sounds like a fun, spicy weekend to me. And so that's the last weekend of March, but we have a couple more days, Monday and Tuesday, and big things happen on both days. So let's get to it. Monday, Mars enters Aquarius. So Mars has been in Capricorn for about 6 weeks and is shifting signs, moving into Aquarius. So this is a lot of freedom, right? Mars is a lot about how we take action and our desires, right? Mars likes to do and move. And so Aquarius is a very freedom-loving sign. So there's a feeling of freedom and autonomy. You might have some courage to break some rules that you've limited yourself with. This will be the work of Mars in Aries for you. But Mars is one of the malefics in astrology, one of the more difficult planets. And as soon as Mars enters Aquarius, the next day, Mars makes a conjunction with Saturn in Aquarius. And so, like when I'm gushing about Venus and Jupiter and just like, oh, there's, it's kind of like, with Mars and Saturn a little bit. They're heavy hitters and they're like together, okay? So it's a little bit, you might be feeling some obstacles. And what I feel like the best medicine for this is don't push the wall, right? Make a key and go through the door. Like, figure out a new way, because that's what this stalemate maybe is asking you, not to keep pushing and pushing and pushing, but to have the discipline to actually step back, reassess, and try something new. That may mean walking away from it for a minute, because Saturn and Mars together, that's just a very intense connection. And it's not super, it's kind of the opposite of the Venus-Jupiter thing, but challenges help us grow, right? So what are you going to do? Mars is going to make a conjunction to Saturn in Aquarius. It's going to happen on the last day of the month.
Can we go back to Saturday, March 28th? You said Pluto makes a trine with
Venus.
Okay.
Venus in Taurus, Pluto in Capricorn. The day before, it's Venus in Taurus, Jupiter in Capricorn. Jupiter and Pluto are quite close to each other. That's why it's just kind of these back-to-back things that happen. And Venus also, by the way, I got a little text from Katie last night with this picture being like, what is that bright object in the sky? It's a terrible picture, but what is that? And I was like, that's Venus, baby. Venus is
I always send you pictures of Venus.
Because Venus is so gosh darn gorgeous. And at this point in her cycle, and especially this last week of March, Venus is the highest and brightest that she's going to be. And then she's going to start to sink down, because we're going to have that Venus retrograde in May. So she'll start to make that descent down and start to dim and then disappear for a little bit and then pop up in the morning sky. But that's not until later. But this is the time to see Venus in the evening sky, high and bright. You can even see her before the sun sets. Like, it's that bright. She's super, super bright right now. Gorgeous.
West sky.
West sky. Look west, my friends, after sunset. Or even right before. She's up there. So, yeah.
Man.
That's March.
So if you were going to try, I know, it's hard, but if you're going to try to make themes
I know you think after 2 years of doing this podcast, I would make themes, but
Goodness. It's just a lot. It's a lot, isn't it?
Well,
if there's a lot in Capricorn in the beginning.
Well, there's a lot in Capricorn.
Pisces. Oh my goodness.
Listen, it's the Pisces Aries season shift. That's a big thing this month. And the equinox, right? So we do have a theme of, we're at that liminal space of ending and beginning. The last sign in the zodiac, the first sign in the zodiac. We're ending a season, moving into the next. So there's really like something awakening, a new start in a seasonal kind of way. That's a big thing. I don't know if it's a theme, but it's a thing. We're going to get a glimpse of the future, right? With that Saturn in Aquarius. That's a big thing. Mercury is going to station direct. So we're going to start to get more coherent and clear with all the Mercury things. So some, that time in Aquarius and then the station direct, there's some shift there of things kind of coming together, making sense. And then Venus and Taurus, baby. I mean, people are always doing things like these challenges, these 30-day challenges on Instagram. Like, here's a Venus and Taurus challenge. Treat yourself every day to something delicious. Doesn't have to be huge, right? It could be a bite of chocolate. It could be a long bath. It could be an extra long sit in your meditation that you love. It could be a walk with somebody. It could be admiring a flower. Like, this is Venus and Taurus. It's super earthy. It's super embodied. And wouldn't that be nice if every day that Venus was in Taurus, you just really made a point to embody that in your own life, embodying very simple sensorial pleasures. That would be imagine what would happen if everybody was doing that. We would be so much nicer. It'd be so much more pleasant. So make a theme out of that. What's the theme, Katie?
Yeah, no, it's great. It's reminding me of a podcast I did with Sarah Von Bergen, and we were talking about money, and she does this practice with her students in her workshops where I'm going to butcher the details. So you have to go back and listen to she's the only one I've interviewed so far about money. Yeah. And
about money.
She had this really cool practice where she has folks, I think it's 3 times a week. You have to do something nice for yourself 3 times a week, like some kind of self-care thing. Mm-hmm. Must. And she said that when you start doing that, you stop spending money on, because so many people will like burn out and roast their adrenals and then like frazzle out on their bed and like buy something from an online store, right?
Just and like big and expensive, maybe even.
Just to try to like, stuff. So she swears by that practice.
That's really interesting. I love that.
So if you're hearing Kristina's advice and you think, oh, how frivolous, something sensorial and pleasurable every day, just remember it adds to your bottom line.
And that's so Venus. That's so Venus and Taurus, baby. The bottom line, right? That's a super money. This is also a time to like look at your budget while Venus is in Taurus and consider your relationship to money. Yeah, I love that. That's perfect. That's a really good invitation. And I would challenge everyone to do something every day while Venus is in Taurus, but even 3 times a week.
Wait, give us the exact date so we can mark it in our calendars and try to implement this challenge here.
While Venus is in Taurus?
Yeah.
Okay, Venus moves into Taurus on March 4th?
That's right.
Yeah, March 4th until April 3rd. Then Venus moves into Gemini, where she's going to be for a long time, baby. Forever and ever. No, just for a few months. Venus retrograde. It's coming to a theater called You. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. March is exciting. There's a lot bubbling, it feels like, this month. It seems like it's not without its challenges, but it feels like one of the more kind of stimulating in a good way kind of challenges kind of month. So but I'm a glass half full kind of gal, so depends on your perspective and your chart.
Okay, so happy March. If you want to take on Kristina's challenge, March 4th to April 3rd, do something nice for yourself every day. And if you do that challenge, reach out and let us know how to go. Email us, comment on the blog, comment on Instagram, any of those ways, we'll see what your comments are and we'd love to know.
Yeah. And if you are doing something, even like posting it about that, like tag me. I'd love to see.
Yeah.
I don't know y'all, but I'll come look if you give me a tag. Your little like acts of pleasure. Little acts of pleasure. What a movement. Let's do it. Okay. So what's up with March at the Sound Center? What are you guys doing out there? Any exciting events you want to tell us about, or?
Not yet.
Oh, not yet. I'm sorry. You may not know. It is a mystery. Mercury has messed with us a little bit.
No, I have something really fun to announce, but I will announce it probably like sometime mid this week. I'm just like keeping it under wraps. And then we're launching a new product in March. I'm so excited. Do you want to hear about it?
Yeah, I thought it was under wraps. There's two things, a new product.
There's one thing that I'm doing. I'm just like keeping it
okay.
quiet.
Yeah. I get you.
But I'll share it. Yeah. I'll share it afterwards.
Yes.
And
yes,
then
but I do want to know about the new product.
Yes.
What is it?
It's called Expansive Presence, and it is for luminescent expression, divine nourishment, and what's the word? It's like sublime receptivity.
Is this like coming into the line of?
It's number 13, baby.
Like all the things?
It's number 13, yeah. So we've got like 12 blends. Yeah, right. So we'll have elixir, mist, anointing oil.
Oh, fabulous. Tell us about the scent.
The scent. The scent is very simple but very complex. The first time I smelled it, it smelled like in the mist form, right? Because I'd been formulating for a while.
Yeah.
It hits me like a kind of the very first time, like kind of like a muddy lily pad pond, like, what's that? And then the second time you use it, it's like, whoa, what is that? And it's one of those things that grows on you. And now I smell it and I'm like, wow, it's like grapes. It's like lilacs. It's like powder. It's like, for some people, it reminds them of their grandmothers or their mothers because it's quite powdery.
What can you tell us some of the floral notes, or is that a secret still?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, yeah.
Just some of the top, just some of the few kind of like.
We used really expensive. I'll take responsibility. No one else did it but me. I used really expensive essential oils. I'm good enough.
How perfect for Venus and Taurus that this product is coming out with Venus is in Taurus, because that's like a luxury, right?
Oh, right.
You like spent a little extra on the oils to make the product. That's so Venus and Taurus.
It's white champa flower.
Ooh, yum.
It's orris root, which is iris. I get the root from the iris. And costus, which I had never worked with before, but they're all very floral and powdery.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated. I think that elixir and that whole line sounds amazing, but can you say the name again? I love that name.
Expansive Presence. And the flower essences: allowing nourishment, allowing help, receiving more abundantly, divine feminine embodiment in whatever sex you are, star flower, so like being okay being the star, and oh my goodness, what's the other one? Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. Oh my God, sweet pea. So sweet pea is like abundance, right? It gets rid of our lack and scarcity, and there's not enough. And yeah, I remember being in that flower shop in New York City, and I had a bunch of sweet peas, and Simon was like, "No, I don't think you want those. $75 a bouquet, tiny little bouquet for $75."
That's crazy, because you can get them at the farmer's market for so inexpensive.
When it's in season, I guess. I think it was winter.
That's true.
But
they're super sweet. I love sweet peas.
And the blend as a whole, so like I've been working with just for maybe 3 or 4 days so far, because we just made our first samples. And I've got the whole team taking everything to kind of up level the DNA of everybody.
God, I need it.
And it's so interesting because it's like sudden, I don't know, it's just like when you need something and then it hits you in the funny way. It's like things are so much easier, but more effortless. Like things just fall into place and you can act and be active and be activated, but it's so much easier, like less effort.
Yeah,
like someone opening the door for you, and then all you have to do is just like walk through. Oh, okay.
will you allow yourself to have someone open the door for you is the question. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you're like, no, I have to open the door.
Right.
Yeah.
Muscle. I'm going to muscle it through. I know we were originally going to call it magnetic presence, but then it was like, it doesn't quite feel right. Magnetic feels still just a little too much work. All you have to do is like expand and take up more space and things come in. It's like you're a bigger container. You know, like yin is the space in between the vase, right? So the containers, you just become a bigger container that can hold more. Yes.
That's so
Let's
good.
do it.
Awesome. This is your 13th product, did you say?
Mm-hmm.
Also very Venusian because it's got that goddess energy with the 13. What day are you releasing it?
Oh, that's a good question. I wanted to do it for my birthday, but I don't think we're going to have that ready. So I would say probably most likely like the second week of March, or maybe you could advise us. When's the best time?
No, I'm just like, I don't know. We should look at that. But I'm like, what about Friday, March 13th? But is that, I don't know, 13th product, 13th day? It's all funny. But we should look at that if you want. But that's exciting. Congratulations. I am overjoyed to try something new. I love all that you do. I have everything. And I could really use some of that. So that's exciting news. Yay. And then I'm sure everyone out there will be so excited to hear what the other thing is that you announce too once you do. So that's exciting to have a little secret and to keep people anticipating something's coming. This is Uranus and Taurus, something unexpected.
What about you? What have you got going on?
This Mercury retrograde has been a really interesting experience because it's been happening a lot about how I teach and how I work. That's what it's been aspecting in my chart. I'm actually going to do slight pivots in some of my work that I'm also not fully announcing right now, but will be announcing around that time. I'll be clearer and ready to tell people what it's about and what I'm doing, but I'm pretty excited about the shift. It's not like letting go of everything I've ever done or anything like that. It's just kind of a new focus and a little bit of a new direction and even a new demographic to invite in to work with. Wow. Which is a demographic that I'm really excited about.
Wow.
So yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. Otherwise, the Moon Club is open by the light of the moon for members, which is lovely. We had that call this morning. We have a new moon call and then I make videos and audios and whatnot. Such a sweet community gathering. It's such a beautiful support that we have there. It's really a circle and it's a lovely place to be. And I get so filled. My cup gets so filled on these calls. And I just had one today. So I'm really feeling all like gooey about it. Yeah. The usual consults and whatnot. So
love it.
Yeah. March is going to be fun.
Awesome. Happy spring, everybody.
Happy spring.
Thank you so much for listening to The Flower Lounge. I'm Katie Hess, and we'll be releasing a new podcast every Wednesday. If you like what you heard or you know someone who might be touched by our conversation, share it with them. And don't forget to subscribe. To find out what your favorite flowers mean about you, take the quiz at LOTUSWEI.com.